Scorpio, welcome to your monthly sidereal forecast for July 2015. My name is Athen. So this month we've got two full moons, one right on the first, just opening up the month right away with high energy, which is the full moon, and this is in your second house of your sense of self-worth and values, and even the financial side of things, where you've had Pluto transiting for the past many years, helping you have that non-attachment to the material elements of life and to really connect on that deeper level, which is Pluto. So it can be a culmination, certainly, of anything new started over the past 6 months in relation to these financial or material side of things, the simple pleasures, the simple life in many ways, or even relationships from this whole lunar cycle of your seventh house, where you had the new moon last month. So in either case, it's helping you see very clearly both the seventh house relationship stuff and the material side of things very nice. And this is a very transformative full moon in the sense that it's happening within 5 degrees of Pluto and of Mars, which are both rulers of that eighth house, Mars primarily, Pluto secondarily. And this is powerful change. And of course, here, when we're willing to make change, when we're willing to have that, that non-attachment to this particular area for you, the financial or material side of things, that's when the change is very positive, because then we become aligned with it and we don't have that attachment, and then it can mean more of that energy flowing. So because Pluto's always releasing blockages and things like that. So that's relating to the second house. It's also somewhat relating to the eighth house, which is going to be highlighted for you this month, relating to your one-on-one deeper connections and connections that are very meaningful and deep and truthful in life, and also what life is truly about, beginnings, endings, shared resources, all of those things. So reflecting on that stuff as well around the first is always a good idea. Now, at that time, though, we're all quite optimistic in general, because Jupiter will be conjuncting up to Venus on the first as well. And this is happening in your ninth house of the expansive side of life, of travel, of philosophy, of spirituality in general, where you've had Pluto transiting for almost the past year. So there's been a lot of opportunities now with that. So now Venus going over Jupiter usually happens within one of these transits of a sign. So this is always a nice time of further emphasizing that particular part of your life, creating more opportunities there with that, and enjoying these things too, enjoying the travel, enjoying philosophy or whatever it is that you might be involved with there. And Jupiter does naturally rule your second house. So, I think financial stuff, it'll be mixed for all of you, because it depends on your personal chart. But in either case, I think you can certainly connect to those things, connect to the simple pleasures around this time because of that full moon, and because Jupiter conjuncting Venus, Jupiter naturally does rule your second. I think also enjoying self-expression, fun, and creativity as well. And the opportunities will certainly be coming in, I think, in the relationship side of things, since Venus does rule your seventh, and also in the spiritual side of things because she rules your 12th. So this is where you can certainly expand your spiritual boundaries and have that enjoyment, and see the opportunities maybe coming in for you to rest, relax, connect to the energies of the universe or God or all that is. So quite nice there, optimistic nonetheless, especially about expanding your horizons and feeling very adventurous, I would say, for you Scorpios. Now on the 5th and 6th, we've got the Sun opposing up to Pluto, further emphasizing this Pluto energy. So here, it's very important, especially with self-expression, that you have that non-attachment. It's really relating to a lot of different areas, also relating to your career, since the Sun does naturally rule your 10th house. And making any changes necessary there, also any changes with the financial or with the shared resources side of life, or with debts or anything that you sort of are in bondage to or you're bound by in some way. So wanting to change there is a good idea if that's the case for you. But in either case, being willing to change, like I've been saying, and having non-attachment in general will be a good idea around this time. 5th and 6th as well, Saturn dips back into your 12th house, where you guys have had the past 3 years up until recently of this discipline for you to really put into spirituality, put into meditation, connecting to the subtle energies, and to relax and make enough time for that, as that being a very important part of life. So now there's some more things to rework or reconsider about that. It's not shifting, so suddenly, I don't think. Depends on your ascendants, but as this whole month in general, I think you guys will be feeling the shift into making sure you're putting in whatever discipline energy is into the spiritual or relaxing or meditative side of life. Now on the 8th, Mercury joins up with Mars there, or the Mars and the Sun They're in your 8th house, where I think you're already very motivated this month towards connecting to things on that deeper level, probing, which is really about truth. It's about speaking the truth here, especially with Mercury communicating it, seeing it. And this is natural for you Scorpios too. You guys are very intent on the truth. And so this is an energy that already comes natural to you, but really intent on it with Mars in particular, and very direct with it also. And the direct energy is going to be very, very strong this month, because of some conjunctions with Mars, which I'll talk about. But just make sure that you are balancing this with, again, the material realm. Because, see, with all this emphasis on the deeper realm, a lot of, this is all the non-physical stuff here, or the stuff that we don't physically have, which, again, can be shared resources or debts and things like this. So balancing that with, remember to enjoy life. Remember that all of this stuff in the 2nd house is about being grateful for what you have, and being observant for what you have, and enjoying the simple pleasures, because we all do have so much abundance in our life to enjoy those material things, such as a good meal, rest, relaxation, a hot bath, things like that. So balancing the non-material with the material is going to be a very good idea this month, especially with Mercury now going into the 8th. I think naturally you'd be thinking about these things quite a bit, the deeper side of things, that is. Then let's see, on the 15th, we've got the new moon shaping up in that 8th house. So some new beginnings about these 8th house matters. So whatever that is, reflecting on this around the 15th, what's really meaningful to you, how you can release any bonds, if that's or non-healthy bonds, I should say, how to establish new bonds that are healthy. So reflecting on this is something that can shape up in terms of new beginnings for you, and any new intentions that you do set around this new beginning can certainly unfold as the lunar energy builds in this lunar cycle. Venus is also changing signs, changing houses, going into your 10th house here at the same time on the 15th. So here, Venus in the 10th is where you can connect to your work. You can even meet people through your work. Especially Venus naturally rules your guys' 12th house. Your work can be very meditative or spiritual and tranquil, where she naturally rules your 12th. But in either case, enjoy the work, career, anything on that public level. I think that can be the source of joy for you, or just pleasure, really, with Venus. And there is some things to learn about that as Venus goes retrograde a little bit later, but enjoy that stuff nonetheless, because that'll be an energy for you. Now, Mercury conjuncting up to Mars, that intent energy I was talking about, happens on the 15th as well. So again, non-attachment, balance, these two areas, very, very important this month. With this assertiveness and direct energy about the truth or deeper things or whatever this 8th house stuff is, just remember, life is also very simple. Life is also very pleasurable in the physical sense. So, that is something I think to keep in mind. And Mars being the ego, and in many ways, our egos, especially you because it's your ruler. Here, Pluto is the ego killer, right? Ego, stripping away all the stuff that's just not really, important to life. Stuff that it's all about, the ego stuff, that when it's just all about us and what we're set on, what we want, but then we're not entertaining, we're not accepting the fact that there's the whole divine process, there's this whole universe, and there's an unfoldment and change, and things have this ebb and flow about them, and we have to ride that wave. We have to be a part of that in that non-attached way. So all that stuff relating to that, I think, is going to be very, very important, with Pluto opposing up to your ruler Mars, specifically around the middle part of the month here. And the more willing you are to have change, the more willing you are to have that non-attached perspective, this can be very, very powerful in a very positive sense for you Scorpios. Now, on the 22nd and 23rd, Mercury conjoins up to that Sun, so I think there's going to be a lot of passion about our ideas this month, the later half. But for you, it's mostly around things relating to philosophy, spirituality, adventure, which is where Jupiter and Venus conjoined earlier in the month. So there's going to be some new beginnings around this next month. And here in the middle part, 22nd, 23rd, I think you can really communicate and share. Mercury in the 9th house is where you're really sharing your philosophy, sharing your spiritual outlook on things, or learning through others, learning through a guru, things like this. So whatever, especially with Jupiter, maybe that's been the case for a lot of you. But in either case, very passionate about your ideas. Just remember to take things nice and conscious. You want to be very conscious of what you're speaking, as is always the case with a Mercury conjoining up to the Sun like this. Because when there's a lot of passion, it's very important we bring in that extra bit of intellect. And I think naturally you are going to be very passionate about the community stuff in general around this time, because Mercury does rule your 11th, the transformational stuff as well. And I think you'll be thinking probably quite a bit about work around this time as well, which is good since the Sun is also ruling your 10th. And any work, any day-to-day stuff you put in around your career around the 22nd, 23rd should be quite nice. Now, 25th and 26th, Venus goes retrograde. And while that happens, Uranus goes retrograde in the 5th house. So with the 5th house, this has been a form of a lot of releasing for you guys in your self-expression, over the past many years. But this month too, with this eclipse energy that took place in the 5th, helping you free up your fun, free up your joy, your self-expression, your lightheartedness. So that energy, reflect on that now for the next 6 months. It happens once a month, and it's just a normal time to reflect on these things. And I think you might notice a shift there with some of these matters relating to fun, enjoyment, self-expression, etc., creativity. And then at that same time, Venus goes retrograde in the 10th, so there are some things to learn about your enjoyment in work, your pleasure in work, and perhaps relationships in the work environment as well. So that's going to be 25th, 26th. Then on the 31st, we have the last full moon, or at the end of the month, culminating things, and this is in your 3rd house of communications and learning. And so this is a culmination point of any new beginnings relating to these 8th house matters that shaped up for you 2 weeks ago on the 15th. So a culmination of that, but also a culmination of the past 6 months in regards to anything that you guys may have started around that time relating to your communications or speaking or anything on that mercurial level, right? And so that full moon is going to create a lot of illumination for you in regards to how you're speaking, communicating, things relating to siblings and peers and all of that. So a good time to observe and put energy into those areas as well. So a lot happening this month. Obviously, in the weeklies, I get more specific with it. So if you'd like to get a more specific look, do check out the weeklies. But all in all, generally, definitely a lot of emphasis on the 8th house, okay, of that transformation of depth and truthfulness and all of that. Balancing that with the material side of life is very important. Saturn going into the 12th, remembering the importance of spirituality in a disciplined fashion and grounding your spirituality in many ways. And then all this energy going into your 9th house means it's a very transformative month for you Scorpios. It's a lot of open horizons, a lot of possibilities shaping up, which I think you're already very naturally optimistic about with Jupiter transiting that 9th house. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Hope you have a nice month. If you're new to this form of astrology, do check out masteringthezodiac.com, or if you'd like a personal session, and I'll talk to you all next time.